Welcome back. Good to see you.
It's great to see you, Sean. I appreciate you having me on again.
We were just talking about this, right? That if you think about it, there are all these migrants coming over the border from Mexico. Up to 2 million of them. Mexico's COVID rates are on the rise. We're not checking them when we come into to America. So are you guys down there in Texas particularly concerned about what's about to happen?
No, we absolutely are, and you are 100% correct when you say they're not being tested. I, along with about a dozen of my fellow Texas congressional members, were down at the border on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday this week. We were down in McAllen, and we went to the Duyne facility. This is a facility that was built under COVID restrictions to be able to house no more than 250 individuals. We saw almost 5,700 people that were housed there. Not one of them had been tested for COVID. And what they're doing is they're taking these kids out of the facility because the majority of them, overwhelming majority of them, are unaccompanied minors. And they're putting them on buses, they're putting them on trains, and they are shipping them to a city near you. Right in Dallas, we've got our Dallas Convention Center, that last week they put up a facility. They had 3.5 days to prep it. In 5 days, it was at capacity with 2,300 unaccompanied minor boys. And they are trying to process through as quickly as possible. And just as soon as they get them processed through, they've got another bus behind them with more coming in. It's a travesty. They have no clue what they're doing. The Biden administration has no plan moving forward. But I'll tell you, they absolutely knew this was going to happen. When I was down at the border, we were talking to members of the President's Advisory Council under Trump that were advising Biden on exactly these types of policies. They warned them, if you take back the policies that were put in place under the Trump administration that prevented kids from having to make the trek through Mexico, that prevented children from being separated from their parents, that allowed them to apply for asylum for the first safe country they hit. If you take away those policies, you're going to see a huge surge at the border, and it's exactly what we see today.
Exactly. You know, President Biden ran on the fact that he was going to take COVID very seriously, yet it doesn't seem like in this scenario he is taking COVID seriously at the border. Why isn't he being held more accountable for his silence here?
It's the liberal talk policies. It's the far left elitist radical agenda that they want to have open borders. This is what he talked about during his campaign. But he wants to have it both ways. He wants to tell everybody to wear 2 masks to keep kids out of school, to keep our economy shut down. But at the same time, at the border, he's going to ignore things like Title 42 and allow people in the country, 5,700 people that hadn't been tested, that there's no way that they were within 6 feet, much less. I mean, you couldn't even see the floor. And I showed those images. We took those videos. But I got to be honest with you, when you're in the facility, the videos do not do the tragedy and the humanitarian crisis that's happening down at the border. It's just, it's horrific. And they should be down there, and they should be the consequences of their policies.
I agree with you. They need to see this firsthand because this is a problem. And, you know, yesterday we had your colleague from Texas, Pat Fallon, on the show. He said that you guys, you in particular, by name, saw some disturbing things in the airport. Can you fill us in on what you saw that kind of disturbed you?
Nearly almost all of the people that were waiting to get on the flight from McAllen to Houston were very young mothers, probably teen mothers with children, with babies. And all of them had their envelopes that said, "We don't speak English. Please help us to our plane. Thank you very much for your help." So these people are being flown to, again, cities around the country. And the facilities that we have in Dallas, they are opening up in cities in nearly every state.
Congresswoman, your other colleague, AOC, in a recent town hall, ripped both parties, saying the Republicans and Democrats are responsible for what's happening at the border. What's your response to that?
Well, you know, she can complain a whole lot, but I don't see a whole lot of solutions coming out of her mouth. And that is, but you look at what was happening under President Trump. I mean, he inherited this huge surge under President Obama, where they built the cages that they were keeping the kids in, where they were separating the parents, where they were allowing unaccompanied minors to make this trek. And what they have done now is it's even worse than it was back then. Trump moved policy through that actually protected these families, protected these kids, protected our streets. Because right now, when you go down there and you start talking to border Customs and Border Protection, what they'll tell you is who's running our borders right now is the drug cartels. By having CBP being distracted, basically being babysitters, they are leaving miles of open borders where drug cartels are very advanced, very strategic, and they're coming through. And they knew this was going to happen, and yet they did it anyway.
That's right. Well, Congresswoman, thank you for sharing this experience with us. It's so important that we bring light to what's really happening because this administration won't do it and is giving scant access to it. So I appreciate you joining us. I wish you a very happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thank you.